Cottage Grove to order, May 16th, 2016. We have a quorum. The agenda was properly posted.
Yes.
Okay, and we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item is public appearances, public's opportunity to speak about any subject that is not a specific agenda item. Did anybody see?
No.
Okay, we have no public appearances. Item 5, discuss and consider the minutes of the regular village board meeting of May 2nd, 2016.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented. Second.
Okay. Motion and a second to approve the minutes of the May 2nd, 2016 village board meeting. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Number 6 is presentations to the board. I don't think we have any. No. Okay. 7A, unfinished business. Identify, discuss, and prioritize village ordinances requiring updating and revising.
Once again, this is just on here so that if anyone thinks of an ordinance or comes across an ordinance that they would like to bring to the board with a suggestion that it be revised, to the extent possible, we're trying to also funnel some of these through the respective committees.
Okay.
And I think that everything that I'm aware of has either gone through the committee or, like tonight, the revisions to chapters 163, 64, and 183.
Okay.
We just said to bring directly to the board. So.
Okay, so what we have on the agenda tonight is what we have so far. Go ahead.
Okay, I have two. I brought these up, I guess, maybe 3 years ago. I can give them to Lee or Harvey. I don't know what to do with them. This is from a while ago. Should I read through it, or does it matter?
Or just give us the ordinance number at least.
Oh, the ordinance number is 173.1, use of firearms and weapons. It's out of date with the state statute for the concealed carry that they updated. I think it was in 2011. And then the 167.1, storage of gunpowder. It mentions storing things in a metal canister, and you can't buy that in a metal can anymore. So,
Okay.
and then, so I can give this to somebody.
You give that to Harvey, who's on the chair. Okay. All right. We have nothing else on 7A then? 7B, update on Gaston Road right-of-way permit.
Okay, on Friday, I think it was, we received an initial decision from the PSC, and we had hoped that the number of conditions that the town had placed on the right-of-way permit, that would allow the PSC to make a finding that they were discriminating against the village. While the PSC did not do that, they did, however, enumerate several specific instances of language that was unacceptable. And I think the one that for myself, and it's just it was particularly frustrating. If you may recall, we had reached an agreement through the Utility Commission, and all that needed to be added was the phrase pursuant to PSC 130, which is the applicable administrative code section.
And an agreement with between the utility and
The town.
and Chris Hampton showed up at that
Right,
meeting
and
to-
Chris said that's fine.
Yeah.
And then they had a board meeting, the town had a board meeting, and after the board, or during the board meeting, Chris Hampton and Connie Anderson were given direction to continue negotiations with the village and work out the language. And the next draft that we got, as you may recall, essentially added every town employee to the list that they could charge against the village. And Attorney Anderson and I had quite a debate about, he said, I don't really see that language in PSC 130, and that's...
And no cap.
Right, and no cap on the fees. Well, the PSC came back and said that, while you might be able to charge the engineer's time and the public works director's time, they do not see how they can charge any of the staff time nor the attorney's time. So actually, it went backwards on them, and I think that's positive. It does send us back to, it did say that they want to see if we can work something out with the town. I'm going to take this back to utility. I've got to call into Chris Dyer to find out if we could have a special meeting so I can get some direction one way or the other. But I think that it's unfortunate it took so much time and effort to get to a point where they said, yeah, you're right, you can read the statutes. So.
Okay.
So more waiting.
Huh?
More waiting.
Yeah.
So if we reach out to the town again, can we say we need
Well,
a
yeah,
deadline?
I think that that would potentially be the idea, pending direction from utility, because I think then if the town refused to make any changes, that would further strengthen our argument that they're being unreasonable in terms of the things that they tried to put into the permit. So,
When did that occur? I mean, is the town in on the loop of all of that?
yeah, they got a copy of the decision too.
And that was
Friday.
Friday. Okay, because
It's not on their agenda.
it's on the agenda. It says discuss right of ways, but it doesn't specifically say Gaston
No,
Road.
well,
I'm not
that's
sure if
on every
that's-
agenda.
That's on every. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was one of our arguments, is that the vast majority, if you go back a couple of years like I did, you'll see the vast majority of right-of-ways that are considered are just like, John wants a right-of-way, okay, bye. Harvey wants a right-of-way, okay, bye. And it just, that's the way it's handled. And we are, and the PSC in a great understatement said, it could be argued that the town gave an unusual amount of review of the village's request.
They used almost every letter of the alphabet as far as conditions are concerned.
Yes.
And I think the other issue was the village compromised. We figured that, let's get this thing done. We can meet them halfway. For instance, they needed more time to review the permit. They only get 15 days to give a decision. So this thing should have been done in like 2 weeks. And we said, sure, you can take till your next meeting. But in doing that, you give an inch, they take a mile, and then now look where we're at. So hindsight's 20/20, but I guess we won't do that again. But so
some progress, and hopefully a move towards resolution.
All right, 7C, update on urban service area amendment.
CURPC had their meeting last Thursday. It was neither short nor easy, but in the end it was successful. Based on input from the DNR, they split up their votes, one on water quality and one on transportation, land use, and whatever else they wanted to talk about, and in the end we got approved on both. So,
Okay.
good news.
I think that from a municipal perspective, I would just add this, that we went to the DNR and actually met with them and said, okay, who's in charge here?
Right.
And wrote, we submitted follow-up, Aaron had submitted follow-up information, so we ended up not having to take any of our urban service area out. So we kept our urban service area and added to it. And then essentially what we said to the DNR was, well, who's in charge, and why do the municipalities have to jump through all these hoops if really CARPC is not the final authority? And we were told they were not the final authority.
Okay.
So I think, again, it's another area where I guess some progress was made, and it will be interesting to see if the DNR continues their work with CARPC, because their agreement with them ends at the end of June. So clearly some contact was made, and but Aaron's right, there's no really, you can't really guess what's going to be asked. So.
the village of Deerfield had the same type of application before us on the agenda, and theirs was done in half an hour, and ours took another couple hours. So.
DeForest.
What'd I say?
Deerfield.
Oh, sorry.
I know
DeForest,
it all.
yeah.
All right. Item 8A, new business, discuss and consider request from the Cottage Grove Fire Department for accommodations for the 2016 Fireman's Festival. Eric, I assume that's you?
I believe so.
Okay, so, those who don't know or don't recall, festival is 30 days away, exactly. But yeah, nobody's counting in my house. We haven't started the hour clock yet. So I think everybody got the pack, or the flyer that should look something like this, kind of a rundown of how everything is. Do you guys have any questions first off?
I don't. I'm just glad to see the fireworks back.
Yes.
Eric, I was just going to mention, and Deb, there's a rider or some insurance that the village has to be named on.
For the rodeo,
Well, it's also for the fireworks.
for the fireworks too.
Yeah.
Actually, the firework company carries their own insurance.
Okay, they should talk to Deb / our insurance person, because they have to give a rider of some kind that each year. That's what they did before they stopped doing it.
When was the last time fireworks were?
It's been...
Back before the Dream Park, because we used to shoot right where the Dream Park was. That was,
We moved into our house over here in 2007, I think. I think 2008 was the last.
yeah, I think so. It's been,
Yeah.
yeah, because they started building the Dream Park, and that was usually where we shot them from. And once they got that land and started building, that was it. So,
Okay.
so for the, you want me to just have them email you the copy of the rider, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that would be fine.
All right. So obviously new this year, we've got community stage. We got the art and craft and vendor fair, which the chamber is doing. They're running that, and that's Saturday from noon to 6. And I think as of today, I think Paula said we had 30 booths sold, so which is good, especially for a first year. Obviously, the big buzz around town is the fireworks, and we're using Kruger over by Mineral Point, so they're very well known over there. Met with them, talked to Bruce and Tom on their concerns as far as distance, as well as then we talked to Parks and Rec and the village about finding a spot, 50 by 100 area, which is, I currently have snow fenced off, and it is at least 300 feet away from anything near burnable
Okay.
or explosible. And actually the NFPA requirement is you only need 70 feet per inch diameter you're using. So if we're using, the biggest we're gonna shoot is 4 inch, so we really technically only need 280, but we gonna go for extra safety. Those we're planning on shooting at dusk, depending on the weather. The company has a very strict policy as far as weather. If it's over 10 miles an hour, they won't shoot anything over 3 inches, and if the wind is over 15 miles an hour, they won't shoot at all. So, rain, they don't really care about because they can shoot them. So, he goes, rain, we don't care about. Wind is the big thing. So, that's that.
Is there a rain date on the fireworks then, or how does that
If
work?
we didn't really discuss that because we're really hoping we can do them Saturday.
I'm sorry, I said that out loud.
That's okay. Maybe Sunday, but like I said, we're really hoping we can just do them on Saturday because it just works out nice for everybody. Sunday's kind of one of those wind down days that's just, let's just go have a little bit of fun, and then 6 o'clock we can pull up the tent, take stake tents, and done for the year. So then Saturday is obviously the big day, starting right away in the morning, 8 a.m. with the run.
5K, 10K, and the kids run. I talked to Chief Labor. He and Paula and I met last week Friday and discussed the route and where the officers will be throughout the route. He's also coordinated with the county deputies to be along Vilas, so he was handling all that. It's the same route as we did last year. So we also Smoking Heart Barbecue Contest is growing this year. Rugby's going to have their tournament as well. The parade will start at 11:30, and that's going to start at the school, head south, and then it's going to hang a left on Reynolds there and go up past Astor. So that way all the nice people up there don't have to come all the way down to the street. They just got to go to the end of the driveway, and they can sit there, and then it'll loop back and end at the park. Then the Art and Craft and Vendor Fair is at noon to 6, fireworks at dusk. Sundays, pancake breakfast, horse pull, kiddie tractor pull, same as last year. The only thing new this year for Thursday night is Music in the Grove is going to hold their band, which is Gin, Chocolate, and Bottle Rockets. Will be down in the beer tent. They wanted to try it this year to maybe attract some more people down there. We're like, it's there. It'll be up and running. Might as well come use it. Friday night, we got Madison County coming. Saturday, John Messino starts at 4:30. Axel Grease will be the big band for Saturday night. It's been 10 plus years since Axel Grease has played. So there is a big buzz in Monona, as well as here from people who remember when they last played. So they're all excited they're coming back, whatever. And then Carnival all weekend, starting Thursday through Sunday.
Was there any extension of hours in the park? I seem to remember something that we had to, I don't remember park closing hours or something like that.
Yeah, the park closes at 10. If Madison County's playing till midnight, you have to get the sound
Okay, so,
thing approved, right?
yeah, so we just need a sound permit or something to go past 10 p.m. or whatever for the park hours,
Okay.
which is pretty straightforward.
Deb, can you just do those, or does that come to the board?
We usually bring them to the board, but I believe, according to an ordinance, Lisa can approve them.
We usually bring it to the, it's usually best to bring it to the board more just for, so it gets on
Sure.
YouTube, maybe in the paper.
We could
just
put it
for-
on
Just
the
so
next-
people know.
Next board agenda.
Mhm.
Okay.
But the main thing is to get the information to the police department, so if there's complaints, they'd be the ones that get the complaints, and they can relay it to the people that's,
Okay.
that's okay, yeah.
Okay.
And servers permits for the beer tent people?
We have them.
Okay.
They went out, we got them 2 weeks ago. So everybody who's currently a licensed bartender through the course, the past dozen years or so, is filling them out. And then anybody who wants to do it, there's the online course that they have to do and print off certificate and submit it with there, so.
And this is actually the license for, their license doesn't expire until June 30th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're good from last year's approval.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They did have a question though, somebody had said something about wanting to extend the serving through the baseball diamond?
No, we're tweaking that. We've talked to Chief Labor about that.
Okay,
That was part of the discussion we had on Friday.
okay.
So,
that's not gonna happen?
nope.
Okay.
Is this flyer just for our packet, or is this getting handed out?
This one is for you guys. We actually had I don't know, it's the same size, but then it's also about yay big. Paula just got them in today. They went to print, so we're going to start on Friday. You'll see the giant poster going out advertising. And the only other addition on here is they'll have the list of sponsors from the community who donated money to help.
Name who the band is on Saturday night?
Yeah, it should be.
Okay.
Mine says Axel Grease. Does yours not?
No.
Oh boy.
Check the big flyers.
We're gonna check that one. No, I was there this morning. I saw the proof today.
It was there.
Okay.
I'll just double check.
All right, so we could approve this on the condition that the sound and lighting permits are obtained.
I'm not
Is it?
really sure what I'm approving, because, I mean, we have the flyer, I mean,
Yeah.
I know we know what we're approving, but as far as, you know, our normal processes, there's a document that says, you know, this is the letter, these are the steps, you know, Aaron writes
Sure.
these things. We don't really have that.
We could do that
So-
at the next meeting as well, I mean, and put on our,
Did you have a request from us? For us?
Yeah, that's a good
I'm
question.
not sure that,
I,
Do you
to
need
be honest,
anything?
I think this is just informatory.
yeah.
yeah, I don't,
It's more presentation to the board.
yeah, more of a
I think the only
presentation
permits
and,
that he has to get are the ones that we were just talking about. Normally, they don't, we don't really have an ordinance that would require any other reports or, I
okay.
mean, this is part of what he does is he says, okay, I talked to the chief, the fire chief, and that kind of thing, so.
Okay,
It's more of a informative and acknowledgement that they're doing this more
Sure.
than actual approval.
so you can come back at our June 1st, or first meeting in June? But, I mean, or does he's
I don't know if he needs to come
I don't know
back.
if he needs to come back,
Okay.
but we can have the permits on that night.
Okay, as long as the permits are good, then that's fine.
Mark, if you want to write up something real formal, it's fine. Because I'm sure you have an excess of time, so.
yeah, I'm like Mark. That's my father.
For the permits? for the-
That's fine.
I know, it's fine.
Okay,
Yeah, so
yeah.
I think
what do I need to do?
Just work with staff and getting all the permits in order.
the sound permit.
Sound
Okay,
permit,
and that's here?
yep, just talk to,
Lisa.
or Lisa,
I can get you one right
Okay, perfect. We can get that, all right.
that's, okay, then we're good.
Make sure that's done, okay.
All right,
Otherwise, it looks great.
Yeah, and then we're meeting with Parks and Rec one last time
Yep.
next week?
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
5 o'clock.
Yes.
It's not this thing?
We're on summer hours, because it's
Yeah,
Cool.
music in the
Summer.
Grove.
All the music good in Grove Hours, yes.
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 So yeah, one last meeting with Parks and Rec, and
Cool.
I think that should be, everything's all set then.
all right, sounds good, thanks, sir.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
All right, item 8B, discuss and consider trustee and citizen committee and commission appointments. I finally figured out how to run the copier, everybody should have a copy of this. The only correction is under Cottage Grove Emergency Government Committee, that should be Troy Allen and not John Williams. John has a work conflict there,
And then back on joint fire.
and you're on joint
Joint
fire.
fire, yeah.
Yep,
So swap.
Yeah,
basically
swap.
swapping that. And then you'll notice on the Deer Grove EMS Commission and Cottage Grove Emergency Government Commission, or Committee, it's our turn to be the chair of those. And if you see an asterisk next to somebody's name, it's basically a reappointment. And most of these are,
Is there any new names?
I'm sorry?
Any new names on those?
The only new name that you'll see under Ordinance Review Committee is Jennifer Tran. I talked to Jennifer. She's interested in being on Ordinance Committee. She actually works at Badger Realty Group. She's on EMS, that's how I know her.
And then Penny's new on Parks.
Penny is on Parks, yeah. Parks, Forest and Recreation, or Parks, Rec and Forestry, yes. Penny Aguilera, is it? Those are the two new names that you'll see. And then under each category, you'll see I designated village board members versus citizen members. And the Plan Commission, we approved Don Brinkmeyer and Phyllis Jones Morrison at last meeting. I did have a question under Public Works and Properties. There was a Scott Sherman that had a 2015 term expiration, according to the Excel spreadsheet I had. So I didn't know if that creates another vacancy or if that's, according to the sheet that I had, it
We have
said
to reappoint them,
2015.
right?
But as long as you have a quorum, I guess, if we have to appoint, that's not a
Jack,
citizen.
as far as CDA, is it Jennifer continuing, or are you going?
I'll be going to CDA.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
So you're not an alternate?
correct.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
did you put Scott on here?
And Jack, we will need one more for Deer Grove, because we need 2 representatives from the village.
For Deer Grove EMS?
Yeah. So
Okay.
we'll need one more trustee.
All right, we have Harvey, right? And,
No, there's no, Harvey's
You only
not
got John.
listed.
Oh, Harvey's term according to the sheet was 2017.
Okay.
So that's why you didn't see Harvey on there?
These are just new.
Yeah,
Oh,
these are
Newer,
just,
sorry.
full list.
this is just people who expire in 2016, so.
Okay, you're still there.
Yeah. Yeah, so don't panic. It
All
was
right.
just,
No, okay, I got it.
Yep.
Thank you.
just, yeah.
Are
If you don't-
do you want to appoint alternate members? You have question marks under.
Yeah, on the joint Deer Grove EMS Commission and Cottage Grove Emergency Government Committee, we kind of try to keep alternate members appointed in case somebody can't make it, just for the sake of equal representation. I don't know if anybody's interested in being an alternate on either of these.
Can they be flexed at the time of somebody can't make it? They just have staff.
That's a good
Put a
question.
note out. Can it be
I
flexed
think
or
that
is
our
it-
ordinance, we talked about that at the time that we adopted it, and we were trying to get alternates to know that they were going to be alternates so that they could kind of follow what was going on with the committee.
Oh,
And I guess if push came to shove and, you just had no one else to cover it, I think that they could do it for a single meeting, but otherwise we were just trying to identify
Sure.
who would serve as an alternate so that they could follow the agendas. and
I mean, as
minutes.
village president, I can do it if I have to, but I just didn't know if anybody wanted to be an alternate, but we don't have to appoint alternates tonight. I can check with people to see if they're interested.
I do think it's important for the joint fire and especially for joint fire and Deer Grove, we need to
Yep.
make sure we have 2 people at
Okay.
every meeting.
Okay. And I mean, I can certainly do Deer Grove EMS if I have to. I kind of took myself off of that because I'm also a member of EMS, and I didn't like that appearance, so. Deer Grove EMS, I believe, is a third Thursday
yeah.
of every month. And emergency government is the first Wednesday or Tuesday. I can't remember, but it's the first Wednesday or Tuesday of every month.
Wednesday.
Okay. So I guess if anybody's interested in those, let me know, and I can certainly bring that back at the next meeting unless somebody wants to do it now.
I can do the alternate for emergency government.
Okay? All right, we can do emergency government. Anybody interested in an alternate for Deer Grove EMS?
I can't, I have parks.
Okay. I mean, would you be interested, Troy, for that?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing the EMS.
Okay, that's third
What date does that mean?
Thursday.
Third Thursday.
Yeah, is it every third Thursday of the month?
Every third Thursday.
Yeah.
And alternates between over at Deerfield and over here, but it's every third Thursday. Okay. So we'll put Troy on as an alternate for Deer Grove EMS then. Any other questions or concerns with?
Do you want to do joint fire?
Yeah, I can do joint fire because that falls on the same nights as my EMS training and I'm there anyway.
No, you're on.
I'm already on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
do we want to appoint an alternate for?
Oh, for joint fire?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have, as regular members, we have Troy,
No, you changed that to
John
Or do John, I'm
You and
sorry.
John.
Joint fire is the 4th Monday of every month?
fourth Monday,
According to the-
6:30.
It doesn't meet every month either.
No?
There's-
It doesn't.
Yeah, it misses.
It missed a few months, and so it's not like it's going to be every month, but if somebody wants to be an alternate for that, it's just the case of, or making sure we have representation. Yeah, so I'm on joint fire and Troy's on joint fire, but, okay. So we need an alternate for that. And if somebody wants to think about it and get back to me, we can do it at next meeting as well. Otherwise, I think we've got everything covered.
Motion to approve committee appointments as presented with noted changes.
Second.
All right, motion by Harvey and second by Jennifer to approve the committee commission appointments as noted with the changes we just made. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, thank you. 8C, discuss and consider ordinance 02-2016, amending chapter 163, erosion sediment and water runoff control.
Mike, there's a name tag above or behind the table there, if you can grab that when you sit down. Oh, no, sorry, like, on the shelf. Thanks. More for the TV.
So this is the update to Chapter 163, Stormwater and Erosion Control Ordinance. Would you like me to go through the ordinance incomplete or go through the changes in the memo? How would you like that done?
The changes.
Probably just the changes.
Changes, I think.
Okay. Well, there's two parts to the Chapter 163. So anybody coming in with a site plan or a subdivision has to go through this ordinance to deal with construction site erosion control. And if they're over 20,000 square feet for site disturbance, they'll get into stormwater management.
Okay.
The first part of this is 163.10 erosion control. And in that, we're getting that to county standards. It had allowed for 7.5 tons of sediment to be released from a site per acre per year. That's down to 5. Now, that still sounds like a lot of material. And typically when things are developed, we don't see that, but it's construction site standard. And that's for sites over 1 acre, and we also require sites for over 1 acre per the DNR to get to involve the DNR at that point. For stormwater management, we had a couple things happen this year. We got the water quality standards up to not just Dane County standards, but with the TMDLs being brought in by Madison Met Sewage District and the Adaptive Management Program. We have that in the language in the ordinance now to achieve the TMDL requirements for total phosphorus, and that's in the ordinance for a little bit different for new development and redevelopment. And the new development standards are higher for sediment removal. It's at 80% reduction, and then for redevelopment, it's smaller amounts that come from the TMDL that are in the 50s to 60%, depending on whether you're in the Koshkonong or the Door Creek watershed.
Okay.
So those have been installed. We mentioned, I think in number 1 there, that's the pre-development curve numbers. At one time, the village had more stringent pre-development curve numbers, like what's happening with the land before you develop it. And the curve numbers in the village were saying it absorbs more water than it really does, or what Dane County uses.
Okay.
So we just set those to Dane County so that when someone comes in to develop in Cottage Grove, they're not saying, well, we have to do more, than we have to do anywhere else as far as creating a big pond size on their land.
Okay.
So those are the same as Dane County standards. And they have been for a while. I just wanted to point out that when we did the change, some of our staff thought, oh, it's going back to the way it was. And I said, no, the curve numbers are going to be consistent with Dane County.
Okay.
3, rainfall depths have been updated to new standards that have happened. So when we say how many inches of water is a 100-year storm or whatnot, it's different now than it was prior to those new standards coming out. Okay. It's a 100-year storm is a little less water to trigger it, basically. And so and that comes up into the next thing, number 4, peak rate now includes the 10 and 100-year events. So when I look at the field that I'm going to develop, I have to model it at a 100-year storm, so roughly 6 inches of water hitting it in a day. And then when we put the development on it, we can't release any more water than we were before we put the development on it in rate. And so that that standard is consistent with Dane County. When we were doing this, the 1 and 2-year events are what the DNR models, and those are more important for water quality. That's where you get most of the sediment out of storms, is the smaller storms. And then the larger storms are what you really need to design for flood control. 5, infiltration performance standards have been updated, so now it's 90% infiltration. They look at the field that was infiltrating at a certain rate, and you have to achieve 90% of that when you're done developing. So that points to, maintaining a certain amount of green space and everything that should be consistent with your comp plan and things that zoning and things like that require green space for that. So those were the main events.
Okay, this applies both to residential and commercial construction?
It does.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Okay. I'll make a motion then to approve ordinance 02-2016, amending chapter 163 for erosion, sediment, and water runoff control.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I admit I haven't read all the words in the updates part. Lee, did you get it? Maybe.
I, as an engineer, I'm a good lawyer, and so that's what we're relying on is MSA. These are almost all of them are technical revisions, and it just isn't really worth worth it for the board to pay me to read through these, because I'd say okay, and these are pretty consistent with what we've been talking about.
I just think back to the CARPC meeting where they copy pasted some information from the prior DeForest or update to our
The fact that
approval.
they wanted us to have a boundary agreement with
Windsor,
and-
Winnequa.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Yeah. We have to work with Windsor and DeForest. That's my only thing is I didn't get a chance to.
Okay.
If there's some errors.
Who does the formatting for the revisions when it gets posted to the various places that it gets posted?
E-code.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
I didn't read all
General code is our.
General coding does that?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Okay.
But they're just going to copy. They're going to take whatever's in there.
Well,
So if there's any wordsmithing.
Strikeouts and revisions.
Yeah, they'll take all those out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if it's the 1 through 28 page, section here, we pulled it down to hold the formatting as close as we could for them to be able to put it back
Okay.
without any guessing. So.
All right. We have a motion and a second then for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes. Then we have discussed and consider ordinance 03-2016, amending chapter 164 stormwater management. Is that the same?
This one's a little simpler. It's just, it caught our eye that it was called stormwater management, and it's, literally 163 has the stormwater management in it. This was an ordinance that was brought in because of the village's discharge permit with the DNR for stormwater. One of the first actions that they required is that we adopt an illicit discharge ordinance. And so this went in, and it had maybe that subtitle to it, and then when it was kind of brought in, to the system, it had a new title on top of it. So we just want to get the title correct on it, that it is per illicit discharge detection and elimination ordinance.
Okay. Stormwater management sounds a little bit like erosion control to me too. It just.
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
Motion to approve ordinance 03-2016, amending the title of chapter 164 to illicit discharge detection and elimination.
Second.
Motion by Harvey and second by Jennifer to approve ordinance 03-2016 for chapter 164 stormwater management to illicit discharge ordinance. Is that okay? Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. And on to 8E, discuss and consider ordinance 04-2016, amending chapter 183 floodplain zoning.
This is another fairly simple pen and ink change on page 2 of the ordinance. It updates the new flood insurance studies that were conducted in the area to June 16th, 2016 dates. I know it's not June 16th yet, but that's, they want the ordinances updated now in preparation for the new flood studies to come on board. So the line out of the old studies is taken care of in red, line out, and the new are inserted, so that's
Okay.
that's all it is.
Do you anticipate any drastic changes to what's considered a floodplain, or just?
No changes around the village and floodplain for maps.
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts on this one? Okay. If not, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 04-2016, amending chapter 183 for floodplain zoning.
Second.
Okay, and second by John. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Thanks, Mike.
Jack, just an explanation to the board, what Alex was referring to is that at the CARC meeting and in the approvals, the staff was cutting and pasting, and given the almost surreal hearings that we had been part of, it contained in there, they had left in some language from previous ones, and called for us to have a boundary agreement with Windsor, Vienna, and someplace else. And it's, you're kind of sitting there and you just think, well,
We don't,
how do we do that? And
not having any contiguous
yeah,
boundaries.
but it's just a good reminder that we do check these things and try to make sure that there aren't any of those kinds of errors. So.
Good. All right. Item 8F, discuss and consider purchase of chairs for the boardroom.
Yes, there's a memo in the packet and some various potential options for chairs for the boardroom. There's also a couple Village Hall staff that could use a new desk chair. The carpeting for this room was budgeted at $9,000 and it came in about $2,300 under budget. Not that money needs to be used, but it could be used for chairs. I believe it was, when it was discussed at the budget, the total for chairs and the carpeting was $11,000, and
Okay.
we ended up cutting $2,000 out of that. So, and then just further considerations, suggestions. A suggestion I had was that these chairs are used just about every day, but just for a meeting here or there, so an hour to a day max generally. So we likely could get by with a lesser quality chair. We don't have to have the highest end chairs in here. And on the flip side of that, for staff, I would recommend allowing staff to replace, the chairs will be used full time, obviously, and
Sure. For desk chairs.
for the desk chairs, to allow for the more expensive if you approve the
Okay.
purchase.
Any thoughts, comments? I mean, I think it's definitely time we did something with these chairs.
I would agree. I was wondering whether or not, and Matt, you can weigh in on this, whether or not it would be advisable to let the office staff choose their chair within the limits that are presented, or setting a limit.
I mean, if they want to stay within the
Since they're the ones who have to
budget
sit in it.
and whatever works best for them, I'd be fine with that. There's not a lot of dollar difference there, I don't think. I mean,
Yeah.
Do you need our approval for the office chairs? Because the agenda item says only that we're discussing the boardroom chairs. So if you need us to approve it,
Yeah,
it's not on the.
technically not for the
Yeah,
office
okay.
chairs. We
Yeah.
could, I guess that could be just more for information. We could, that's a,
Yeah.
It's an ergonomic thing, you can't have.
yeah.
You should replace, I mean, yeah, they're in them all day, like you said.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they should be
That's-
replaced if there's a
Right.
problem.
We'll just call that an EH&S.
So how many chairs were you anticipating for the boardroom?
I was anticipating at least 12 for the ones we're all sitting in now, and potentially 2 more for the table across from us,
Okay.
because depending on the size meeting, we'll move tables around during
Sure.
the day when we meet in here.
So 14
They would-
probably.
Most of them will be used, so quite frequently.
Yeah, I would be fine with that. I agree, we don't need the highest end chair in here, but we need something that is gonna work.
Are these all up a state bid?
No, there's three different, the only one that was a state bid was the Sit-On brand. It's actually the most expensive, but that's
Of
not,
course.
but that's not how the state goes about.
Right.
When they go out for bid for chairs, they have specific specs that they want
Right.
met. So this is the low bid out of those specs, and you can see it's they got a significant discount on a $500+ chair, down to $285. And that desk chair, that's actually what the staff has at the new building, and everyone likes their desk chairs over there. Yeah. So, but as far as for in here, I mean, it's hard to tell from just the pictures, but
Yeah.
you know, like the Quilt Corp chairs, for instance, are a little cheaper price wise, which probably, you know, you get what you pay for, but at the same time, like I said, I can't imagine, I mean, these don't appear to be the best of chairs that we're in right now, and they've lasted, you know, 20+ years at this building, so. And then I think Deb, were you gonna suggest that, I don't know how you pronounce the H.O. Han, or whatever the name of that business is, they would allow a couple days of demos and things like that too, if those were.
That's true. Blue Bricks Office Supply, and they actually would let us demo any chair. That's just one that they're focusing on their sales right now. So we could choose any of their chairs to demo for a couple days.
Does anybody have any preference on what they'd like to see in here?
I just want to spend a fortune on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Looks like $120 per chair is probably the,
About the rate.
I have no idea how to judge these chairs.
Yeah.
I mean,
not the number though.
all I can judge on is, one, you can get in blue, which is super exciting. I mean, really, the price is the only thing I can judge it on.
There's crimson for $197. Not doing that one. Oh, that's Han again.
There's a Cottage Grove group that kind of does what Quill does. Did you check them out by chance? I think that's that one she's
That's the
talking
Blue
about.
Brick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right. I think we should just approve 14 chairs and up to $150 a chair or something. And
Up to $150 per chair times.
What does that number end up being?
Well, $1,800
Is it?
for 12 chairs.
I mean, I'd be fine
So
with
that's
that.
within the budget. That's, you know, the max budget right now is $2,200, so
yeah.
it stays underneath that.
Okay. So not to exceed 1,800 or 2,000?
2,100.
2,100?
2,100.
What are you adding? The number is shifting here.
No, 150 and 14.
Oh, we're
Oh,
getting four,
okay.
I thought we were only getting 12.
No, we wanted 12 plus the 2.
14 for,
okay.
2 for the public.
And that still puts them under budget from the
Okay.
number, so that's it.
So I guess, is everybody okay with not to exceed $2,100 for 14 chairs? If that works? Okay. I'll make a motion then to approve the request for chairs not to exceed $2,100.
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second to approve the chair purchase not to exceed $2,100. Any other comments, questions? You want blue?
Yeah, just nice.
Okay. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion passes, thank you. 8G, authorization to apply for community-oriented policing services COPS grants for school liaison officer. Chief?
Yes, this is there's an open period now to apply for a federal grant, and it's the COPS grant, and there's various focus areas that the president has identified, and one of them is school-based policing. So I'm seeking permission for the police department to apply for the grant, because if you're awarded the grant, you're supposed to take it. And so they want the political approval of elected officials before you apply for the grant.
And I think we've done this before in the past with COPS grants, and they're for 4 years or?
Yeah, 3 years, you have to, the federal government takes 75%, pays for 75% of the cost of salary and fringe
Okay.
benefits. And in the fourth year, you have to pay for it yourself, and then there is no obligation after that.
Okay, so the people in this position would understand it's a grant-funded position that may or may not
Right.
keep
and
going.
Usually it ends up being attrition for that officer to get a normal position in the department. So that's the way most people look at it when they get hired on a
And it does
COPS
give
grant.
you an extra person to manage a school situation.
Right, you know, with 1,000 kids up at Glacial Drumlin and the other 2 schools, and sharing a school resource officer with Monona, we don't get a lot of bang for our buck, and no complaint, because yes, they should be focusing their activities on the high school.
Right.
But then we do have middle schoolers that have quite a bit of need for our attention. And we are up there doing education now with the school, internet safety and presentations like that, so that officer could take over that, if we were to get the grant.
Sure.
Would Officer Burlington just stay in Monona then? What would be our costs? I mean, what would be our duty to him?
To them, they could focus their efforts just solely on Monona Grove
So
High School.
he wouldn't be coming out here anymore then?
No.
He's paid for by the school?
The school?
The current?
I think the school district
I
pays
think
his
they-
salary.
I think they share the cost.
Yeah.
I don't know what the percentage is.
Between Monona and the city and the school district?
Correct.
Yep.
So the school's been contacted on this, and they're supportive of putting someone?
Yes, I think they'd
There.
be very happy with that.
Yeah.
They'd
Yes.
essentially have somebody almost full-time for school liaison officer here.
Right.
Okay.
So why doesn't this, like, is it time for discussion?
Mhm.
Why doesn't the school pay for all of it? I mean, 75% of the person is going to go there. I realize it's a COPS grant. You're going to manage it, so we're going to incur that activity of managing the person and all that stuff. And I guess if they're out, maybe you backfill with one of yours on overtime or whatever. Why doesn't the school take care of the whole thing?
Because they're not allowed to apply for the grant. It's a law enforcement grant, so that they wouldn't want the school district paying the costs of that position. It has to be the law enforcement agency or the entity that they represent.
So it's municipality.
So it's a municipal.
thing. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So after the 3 years, this person's going to get potentially pulled out? Because
4 years.
4 years.
No, the 3 years of the grant, the fourth year, we still have the person, so they can be folded into, the first 3 years, they have to work at the school. The
All
fourth
4
year,
years.
all 4 years?
Yeah.
Okay. So then what happens after the fourth year?
Can let them go if you want.
Well, I mean, the schools then doesn't have anybody anymore. They're used to
Correct.
something they, yeah.
Right. Yes.
That puts the,
If you get the grant and you hire the officer and you have them in there for 4 years, might be difficult to pull them out again, so that's something you need to consider when you're.
then we end up paying for a full-time staff at the school, which is beneficial, but it's, when you look at the cost structure, you know, there's all the benefits, so that's all there, that's all positive. But then when
Right,
you look
if
at
you're
the-
paying the full salary, then years 5, 6, 7, or whatever,
Yeah.
then you could make that a half-time position up there, or whatever you want to do with the position after that.
Okay.
Or maybe in agreement with the school to subsidize part of the salary.
Yeah.
And then it's-
Reimbursement or something.
I, just based on how they've reacted just to the request for crossing guards,
Yeah.
I think the possibility of that is really small. I mean, I'm not trying to make a joke,
No.
it just dealing with the school district for this amount of time, if you say, well, we'd like you to pay your proportionate share, that rarely if ever happens.
And that's kind of what I'm afraid of. It's just another burden on the village that it's needed. There's so many things that are needed, and I think this is probably a priority. I mean, I don't have any data to suggest otherwise, but
We can certainly make sure we plan for it when working with Ellers on the 5 to 10 year financial management plan that'll focus on our levy, and so we can plan that potentially if this the fourth year we're going to have a jump, so maybe there's something else that we that the board takes a look at with Ellers and plans down the road, that something in the budget comes out at that time. So at least we're prepared, so it's not a big increase to the tax levy or budget.
When-
Give us a couple years to plan, I mean.
When you pay, when it's 75% of the salary, is there also accessories that are required? Do they need a car? Do they need
No.
other things that you don't have at your disposal right now that you're now going to have to incur additional costs?
No. All of that would just be absorbed in our normal budget. We wouldn't need another vehicle.
Okay.
Any other thoughts, questions?
Fly away.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the application for the COPS grant for the school liaison officer.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve the COPS grant for school liaison officer. Any other discussion?
Any reason why we wouldn't want to do this, Chief?
Why we would not want to? I can't think of any. I think it's a safety issue. It's also an issue where the interaction with a police officer could be a positive for the students there. And we are called up there on a regular basis and are needed up there frequently. And I think we would have a bigger presence, obviously, in the schools with that school liaison officer. Right now, the Monona police officer really doesn't have a lot of time to come out here and do a lot of proactive things. So I think it would be a win situation for us.
Okay. All right, if there's no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Thanks, you, Chief. 9A, Public Works and Properties Committee, discuss and consider recommendation for a traffic signal warrant analysis at the intersection of County and School Road. Is that from Mike, or is that Aaron?
It's from, it's from JJ. Full disclaimer, I missed this meeting. But on the agenda was, we've been talking about, the village board is aware of the daycare that's going to be, is proposed at that location. We also know that there's construction going on at Commerce Park, and that intersection, as part of the master plan, I guess, is slated for a traffic light.
Mhm.
You know, and this is part of the long-term plan. And there was a traffic study, I believe it was 2010 was the original. Was Mike there? It was a while back.
Sure, 07.
07.
We did counts back there.
That far back.
Mhm.
And so the idea is to redo the study, and it's brought to the board today for consideration to get the study done while the school is still in session, to get that additional traffic. So with the loading of the daycares and facilities that are there, along with the extra school traffic, we need to look into get it done.
And so the tax increment district number 5 has a fund balance, so that it can take on the project.
So that would absorb the...
Right.
Okay.
Not to exceed $4,000. So it was approved at the committee level, and now it's before the board for.
So if we just verify a certain volume of traffic during school hours, I mean, is that kind of what it comes down to?
That's what the core goal is, to look for that, and then it's really what is the. Obviously, N doesn't need a traffic light because we just go down it, but it's really for the ingress and egress from the communities out, and how difficult and what's the backups and stuff, like looking at that. So that's, and the safety of that intersection.
Right.
So it's pretty wide as it is. So, if it's funded by the TID, that's where the committee recommends it.
All right.
Motion to approve the recommendation from Public Works for a traffic signal warrant analysis at the intersection of County Highway N and School Road.
Okay. I'll second that. So when do we anticipate having the information then, if we did this? I mean, like...
At the beginning of June.
Okay.
The work has to be done now in May, so
I
it'll be done.
guess I kind of feel like this has already been looked at, and it already kind of feels like there's
Mhm.
a need for this, so it seems silly to pay to have another study completed,
We
especially
have,
if it's already slotted to have one, to have
Can
a
we
light.
do that?
Can't you just,
Based on what we did in 2007, I mean, can we not do it at this point, or do we have to have another study?
How much is a traffic light? You're delaying. You're delaying the expense of the traffic light. So I think you're still going to put that in. If you do put it in, you're going to want to put it in under the TID, not out of expense.
Yeah.
The
it's already slotted.
The TID expires in 2026.
It's coming up.
26.
So if you wait till 20, okay, we'll just wait till 26. It's probably, that could be too long.
Mike, do we have to do another study?
To legally, for engineering to back and support putting in a traffic signal and to make a recommendation to you that, yes, one is warranted. There's recommendations by the DOT and Dane County that are warrant analysis that say go through this and check for peak flows that they last long enough. Otherwise, if you put one in and you don't meet the warrants, you could have more rear-end accidents from people unwarrantedly stopping at your big, your collector streets or your streets. So the idea is you're making sure that there's enough school road traffic to warrant it.
How are we gonna know that prior to the daycare going in?
We can add projections for new numbers coming in. But what we did in 2007 was not a study. We had traffic crossing guards measure the traffic at about 5 intersections around the village back in 2007. And so we had data. We didn't know how reliable it was, but it showed that we didn't have quite enough traffic on School Road at the time. It's our belief now that we should be pretty close because it was missing it by 10% then. But we don't. The other thing that this is doing is setting up MyoVision cameras. And the cameras will be literally videotaping the traffic on the street. So when you do get to the point of setting up a traffic signal, you'll know how to stage and time a signal from the study. That's the other part of what it does. The other point, I guess, would be, or if it warrants a signal, then what will be the next step?
Mike, so the 2007, because it was done by the crossing guards, not engineers, then that wouldn't qualify for whatever the state or the county needs?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, it was putting people on shifts out there to watch traffic, and it was the best information we had at the time, and it didn't warrant a signal at the time. So
What happens if we
it's
just
been since
put one
those.
up? Everybody thinks it's a great idea, we just put one up and don't do the study. What happens?
You could. I would just want to write a letter to you saying that, you've taken responsibility for this intersection, public health and safety,
If there's an
welfare.
accident, Jennifer, I think someone could, and they find out that we haven't done a study, and then the study's done and shows that it doesn't meet warrants, we probably could be liable for.
So this is kind of an insurance policy.
It's usually the first thing, the attorneys would look for.
So you're kind of saying we don't have to do the study, but we should do the study?
It's a safety element to it, yeah. So,
How much
as I
do
said,
you
if you put something in,
Study.
stop signs or anything in, and they're not really warranted to be there, it usually results in more traffic accidents.
I call the question.
Okay.
Okay. Did we have a motion in a second?
You motion.
Oh, yes, we have a motion in a second. All right, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving the traffic signal warrant analysis at the intersection of County Highway N and School Road, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, and abstentions? One opposed? All right, also, Community Development Authority reports.
We met last Monday. The majority of the meeting was discussing the SWOT analysis and also the joint meeting that we had with the town and the chamber. So we talked about our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. It was a good discussion. Aaron, do you have anything else to add? That was really the focus of the meeting.
I'll just add, the CDA is working on filling out the economic development chapter for the comp plan, and this strengths and weaknesses analysis is something that's required in that chapter by state statute. And because we just had that discussion at the joint meeting, it seemed like a good time to have it at the CDA. I didn't give them the results of the joint meeting discussion until I talked about it for a while, just so we could make sure they got a fresh set of opinions about it. But I think the results were generally pretty similar.
Okay.
And the next meeting, we're planning on having Greg Johnson from Ellers come and discuss tax increment districts with the Community Development Authority with the purpose of getting discussion going on TID number 6 and the potential for discussing closure potentially of that TID, and then options for future creations of future TIDs.
Okay. All right, Plan Commission, Aaron, any summary from that?
Yep. We had some discussion about the parking requirements in the zoning ordinance that initially stemmed from the discussion of the Houston's senior housing project and the fact that our zoning ordinance didn't address senior housing separately. So we took a look at that issue, and as long as we were doing that, we looked at all the parking regulations generally for all land uses. The main change we're looking at is adding that senior housing category, which would require 2 parking spaces for any 3-bedroom or larger unit, 1 for a smaller unit. We tweaked the requirements a little bit for non-age restricted studio apartments and made some slight changes to a couple of commercial land uses as well, vehicle repair and indoor storage.
Okay. All right. Reports from village officers. Troy, anything?
Nothing.
Kyle?
No report.
Okay. Alex?
No report.
Jennifer?
Spring sports are winding down. It sounds like the JV boys baseball has had a pretty good season. Varsity not so much. So congrats to all those folks. Senior rec night is this week, so I'll be dehydrated. What else is going? Graduation is June 5th. Fine arts night is the 23rd at 8 o'clock. I think that's it.
Okay. Harvey?
Nothing.
Okay. John?
No report.
Okay. I have no report. That's fine. We'll back up.
Congratulations to Tyler Keel. He was named the new varsity head coach for girls basketball at Monona Grove. And he is on staff at the high school.
Oh. Okay.
Teaches science.
Good.
I thought of one too, actually. No.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
Since the paper's watching, I'd like to see more Village of Cottage Grove news in their paper since they've merged.
With the McFarland paper?
It's been very limited. So
It has really changed the format.
Yeah, there's a number of upset residents regarding that merger. So.
Yeah.
Jack and I were contacted that the paper is working on hiring a new reporter to cover our meetings. So,
yeah, as soon as they get somebody on board here, they'll have somebody. All right, Attorney Lee Boucher.
I've contacted John DeYoung about DANCOM and invited him to a meeting. So as soon as I hear back, then he'll be hopefully be in attendance. We put together a letter that just indicated that the board had not changed its position on why we should not be contributing to a system that is non-operational.
Okay, good. I like that position. Matt?
next Monday, 5 o'clock here, we're planning on having the audit discussion. I had one response, John can't make it that night. He can catch it on YouTube. And so, anyone else know if they can't make that time?
6:30 is the landfill? So
Yeah, it'll be
cut out or
yeah, that's why we're having it at 5,
Yeah.
because we don't anticipate it going over an hour.
Okay.
So,
All right. Good.
that's
Aaron?
it.
Anything? Chief Labor?
We had an incident a week ago where we had an attempted homicide and then a suicide, which was also unsuccessful. The female victim was released from the hospital the same day with head wounds. We arrested the subject. He's at UW Hospital under our guard 24/7, which is an issue because we're doing this with an 11-person police department, and we have to be there. Nobody contacted the Sheriff's Department. They won't do it for us. Contacted Department of Corrections, which has a secure housing unit up there. They won't take them. So I contacted the district attorney's office today because we haven't charged this guy yet, and asked them what they would think of us simply dropping our guard on this person And because the sheriff's department administration that I talked to said we would not guard a similar prisoner. He didn't kill anybody. He's a threat to himself, but he's threatened nobody else. The female victim has subsequently moved to a different city, changed her phone number. So I talked to Attorney Boucher today, and we're doing some research on the issue.
I did get some more information. I asked Deb to contact our insurance to just hypothetical, this is what's going on. What if we decided to, not have an officer there, and essentially they wouldn't deem it as a reckless act that the village would do, and they would cover us and defend us if we happened to be sued or had any kind of liability on it. So
Did this requirement come from the district attorney, or?
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out, is who exactly is saying this.
Okay.
And Dan gave me the name of the district attorney that you had talked to, and the question that I'm going to ask is, well, what is the authority that you're citing that we have this responsibility, and if so, why would the sheriff's department say that they wouldn't provide the same kind of surveillance?
especially under mutual aid, you would think we'd have some help there. I mean, what would happen in, say, like a 1 or 2 person police department? There's some real small towns that have 1 officer. What happens then?
Right.
What's the day in the life of someone who watches someone? So we'll just go through that for a second. Is it you're in the room with the person 24/7? Is there a log sheet every hour? You say that you stop by and all is well.
No, you
Is it
have to
every
be
half
in
hour?
there with the person.
24/7.
So I did 4 hours today. You're basically just sitting and standing around watching him, who's also being watched by a certified nursing assistant who has to sit bedside. He's in restraints and he's in ankle chains. So we have 2 people watching someone that's incapable of even getting up, and he'd have to unhook. I can't get into a bunch of
that's
medical
fine.
stuff, but
You're in the room.
Yeah,
in the
it's-
room with the person. It's not like you're doing rounds.
no,
It's
you're
like
sitting there, and you know, if you can do what you need to do, read a magazine or whatever, but it's straining our budget over time and some mandatory 12-hour shifts. So it's problematic for us. It just can't go on forever. That's why we're trying to arrange a bedside initial appearance, which would be the judge, court reporter, district attorney, and if they could get a bedside initial appearance, then after that, the judge would set bail conditions, and it would no longer be our prisoner, it would be the sheriff's prisoner. So
Our concern is that we don't want to not only endanger anyone, but in terms of the case going forward, we didn't want to do anything that was going to somehow cause a problem with that. But again, when you're hearing that other jurisdictions wouldn't provide the same kind of protection, then I want to know from the DA's office, why are you saying that we have to do this? Or if that's it, and is it just something that you're saying, or is it something that you actually have some?
So we're waiting for that answer?
Well, we spent today kind of gathering information. Deb and Matt, myself, and Dan have contacted these different sources, and I put a call to the assistant DA who had talked to Dan today.
So we have it in writing that you're supposed to do this?
No.
Oh.
They're saying it's a liability issue. What if this person goes out and suddenly, after you leave, hurts someone, or finds the victim and reoffends, or attacks her again?
The DA.
And I said, that's a liability question. Is there any legal basis for us having to stay there that would affect the prosecution of this person? They said no. So.
And our insurance says we're not liable.
Well, they don't say, not necessarily that we're not. They say they would defend us. They wouldn't if the village does something out of their scope.
And if you do something that's out of scope, and also if you do an intentional act, you take yourself outside of the protection. That's one of the protection of the insurance policy. That's one of the reasons that we kind of hammer at the idea of, don't do things on your own. You have to do it within the scope of your authority. So that, we're getting, and I think Dan's answer is the best lawyer answer we could have given, which was, well, okay, it's not going to affect it from a legal point of view, and the liability issue is our concern.
But the insurance said they would defend us under our policy if we were sued, and so.
So what do you want us to do?
Well, I think that, didn't the insurance company tell you that they would be assuming that the board had authorized that?
No, they didn't.
It could be either way.
Okay.
If Dan makes the decision on his own, they would defend us. If it was a direction from the board telling police department to no longer cover it, then the insurance company would cover the decision of the board.
So my recommendation, now that we've gone through Monday, and we have Tuesday and Wednesday, and hopefully Thursday, get this initial appearance done bedside, that we just spend these extra 3 days there. And so that we're not put in a position where we're gonna get sued by someone in the unlikely event he gets away. Right now, he is not ambulatory and he's not a threat to anybody,
Okay. And then pull the plug on Friday, hopefully, or?
so to speak.
Right now, we might want to clarify that a little bit.
Well, you could do it, yeah.
No, and I was in the room when the doctor was in there today, and he's gonna be in this condition he's in for at least another week. So
Okay.
this is an open-ended guarding situation we're in right now, so we can't keep on
Right.
doing it.
The other concern, or the other question that I had was, why isn't a duty judge up there conducting this hearing?
Right.
That's, so, again, I really don't do any
No one's
criminal
charged him
law.
yet. I mean, that's the,
Huh?
one of
Well,
the criticals.
but I mean,
right?
that's the whole point, is
Yeah.
that you have the hearing so that he can be charged, and they have, not traveling judges, but I mean judges that are on duty for just that purpose, so. I think Dan's suggestion is a good one, and I still would like to know where it is that they claimed this authority and said this to Dan, because I want to then talk with the DA himself and just say, well, okay, are you telling other municipalities the same thing, running up a bunch of overtime that isn't really necessary?
Right. So get the initial appearance done as soon as possible.
That's what I'm hoping for, get this done, and then he's no longer our problem.
Yeah.
The only other prisoner up there right now is the freeway shooter that killed 2 people and was shot by the police.
Okay.
And then all the other things that are happening in Dane County, we're the only other police department up there guarding a prisoner right now. So I think that's instructive to where the situation we're in. There's a lot going on in Dane County, City of Madison.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Thanks, Steve.
Well, thanks for the service and a quick response.
Yeah,
and-
I mean,
It was about 2 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
You had,
Yeah, they
somebody
were
was there
there.
within 2 minutes. is what it sounded like.
That'll be a future board recommendation, maybe on some life-saving awards and some valor awards, because they didn't have to go in when they went in. And they were there very quickly and brought the situation to a successful conclusion very quickly.
Good job.
could have been a lot worse. All right, item 11, communication and miscellaneous business. Consider approval of vouchers.
Motion to approve vouchers as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Jennifer and second by Harvey to approve the vouchers as presented. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. Any correspondence? Any official mail? All right, future agenda items. Let's see. Do we want to put the results of the audit discussion on next board, or do we not need to?
It'll essentially be a special board meeting
Okay.
on Monday for that, so unless, I guess there's potential for follow-up, but probably not. I just had a question about Deer Grove VMS Commission on Thursday. I've talked to Andrew, he's gonna check on his availability. If he's available, would you like him to go to Deerfield and record that meeting, or?
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea.
Okay.
I don't know, how's that gonna look? How's that?
Like
just
we're
saying.
maybe taking this seriously.
Yeah. We've
I
done
would
it,
send
we've
him a
done it
note.
before.
I would send him a note,
Oh, we have
just give him a
done it
heads
before.
up, but it's
Sure.
a public meeting. It's a meeting in the public, so.
Yeah,
They can't
anyone
really-
can record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
go to or record. So I'll email the Deerfield Village Administrator. And,
Yeah, just tell them we want to record it, because
Mhm.
we record our stuff. so.
You can even offer Village Hall for future,
Sure.
recordings, just kind of, it looks like an olive branch, but we
Yeah.
want it recorded.
Okay. Anything else, future agenda items? Okay.
Is there anything on the Fireman's Festival?
Uh,
The sound amplification permit.
oh, yeah, sound amplification permit for Fireman's Festival.
And if there's any additional presentation they want to do?
Right,
have
there
them,
any
so
report.
Others can see
So
this.
Cottage Grove Fireman's Festival could be a future agenda item. All right. Okay, number 12, closed session. I guess at this point, I'll make a motion that the Village of Cottage Grove Village Board enter into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, parent 1, parent G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. Legal ramifications of Deer Grove EMS joint agreement. We'll need a roll call vote. Troy? You have to do roll call for closed session.
What was it?
We have to do a roll call vote for closed session.
Just say present then, right?
Just say aye,
Yes.
present, whatever.
Aye.
Aye. Alex?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Harvey?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Okay, we're in closed session.